Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at 6 Strings 9 Lives, back for another ranking video. Today I'm going to take a look at all 7 studio albums from the legendary death metal band Death. A band that I honestly didn't follow back in the day. I was always into the bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Testament, Overkill, Priest, Maiden, all that stuff. But, I think back in 87 time period, I thought maybe that Death was a little too extreme for me. But you know what? It isn't what I thought it was. Let's put it that way. It's fantastic, and I've been listening to them solid for a few years now. Through watching other people's videos, recommendations, I definitely am happy I gave them a shot. The legendary Chuck Schuldiner. If I pronounced that right, I think I did. Anyways, the guy was a visionary. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. And whether they started the death metal genre, that's debatable, but you tell me. I recently watched this documentary and had to buy it on DVD. This is fantastic. Even if you don't even want to try the music, maybe you feel it might be a little bit much for you, or you're just not into the vocals, I still suggest you watch this. This is absolutely killer. Tons of interviews with musicians that worked with Chuck. Lots of footage of Chuck and his life. Highly recommend this. I don't know if I watched this. I think maybe Netflix first or Amazon Prime, and then it came up on Amazon for pretty cheap, so I had to pick that up. Anyways, we'll get into the ranking here. There's only 7 albums to rank. It's like ranking 7 number ones, to be honest with you. I know some of the old school death metal fans will pick some of their earlier work as their favorite, and rightfully so. They're all fantastic. There's no wiggle room in between these. I do like the progressive side of this band, and you'll probably see that in my ranking. Without giving too much away, let's get started. Coming in at number 7 is their debut, Scream Bloody Gore. Like I said, fantastic album. What a start. There is the back cover. Now, this one was basically just Chuck and Chris Reifert. Chris was on drums, and Chuck did everything else: bass, guitar work, lead work, and all the vocals. Check out the songs: Zombie Ritual, Infernal Death, Scream Bloody Gore, Evil Dead. Great debut. So coming in at number 7 for me, Scream Bloody Gore from 1987. Coming in at number 2 from 1988, their second overall album, Leprosy. The one thing if you get into this band or you know a bit about them, there's a lot of lineup changes, and Chuck is the only constant on each album. He's the driving force, the visionary, whatever you want to call him. Great album too. Now this one is still really, in kind of that death metal, vocals, all that. It's a touch of an improvement from the first one for sure. As far as songwriting and just overall sound. Not that the first one was bad in any way, but check out the songs: Leprosy, Born Dead, the classic Pull the Plug, Choke on It. There you go, number 6. So, and then, oh, by the way, this one features Rick Ross on guitar, Bill Andrews on drums, and Terry Butler on bass, even though I think Chuck did the bass on that album. Coming in at number 5. Now, this, like I mentioned before, some old school fans, or maybe this was your entry point. I do see this one high up on the list, and again, rightfully so, killer album. But my number 5 is Spiritual Healing. Just another. There is no bad album in these 7, so we can move on from that for sure. But check this album out if you want to sample a little bit of Death, or I'll have a few more recommendations here from coming from the point of view from a newer fan overall, you would say. Great tracks: Living Monstrosity, Altering the Future, awesome. defensive personalities. One of my favorites on here is Low Life. So this one, got to mention, this one features James Murphy on lead guitar. You would know him from Testament, Cancer, Obituary. Just a great player. You know, sharing some leads with Chuck, because I mean, Chuck's a great guitar player too. So that is my number 5, Spiritual Healing from 1990. You know, great stuff from 1990 to 1990. Coming in at number 4, I do have this one on vinyl, so we'll show that one. Individual Thought Patterns. This is I love the progressive, their last 4 albums. To me, I can't get enough of those albums. I just love them. Not that the first 3 are bad, like I keep saying. Anyways, check this one out. Again, another lineup change. You got Chuck, you got Gene Hoglan on drums, the fantastic bass player Steve DiGiorgio. Some great fretless bass work on this album. And Andy LaRocque from King Diamond, which I love King Diamond, is on lead guitar. He came in to do this album with these guys, and you can definitely hear the Andy LaRocque signature leads on here. Really good. Check out any track, to be honest with you. Overactive Imagination, Trapped in a Corner, Individual Thought Patterns, the song, and the last song, The Philosopher. Great. Like I said, anything off this album. So that is my number 4. That album was released in 1993. Next up, I've seen this one at number 1. I've seen it at number 7. I've seen it all over the place, but this is my number 3 from 1988, their last studio album, The Sound of Perseverance. A great album. There is nothing I don't like on this album. It'd be hard to read that. You won't read that, but so this one features Richard Christie on drums, Shannon Hamm on guitar, and I forget who was on bass, but anyways, Chuck's in there. Great album, like I said. Scavenger of Human Sorrow. Love the song Spirit Crusher. Flesh and the Power It Holds. My favorite track on this album is called A Moment of Clarity. Put that on, give that a sample. It's just fantastic, and a pretty cool cover of Painkiller. So there is my number 3, The Sound of Perseverance. Coming in at number 2 is, I have it on vinyl, so I will show you, Symbolic. Another just solid album top to bottom, not a weak track on here. So this is from 1995, and this is their 6th overall studio album. And I believe it's the only one that was originally released on Roadrunner, and yeah, pretty sure. Anyways, this one features, again, Gene Hoglan on drums, Kelly Conlon on bass, and Bobby Coble on guitar, and of course Chuck. Check out any track on here. Symbolic, Zero Tolerance, 1000 Eyes, what a song that is, and just a masterpiece, Crystal Mountain. Great album. My number 2, Symbolic. And that only leaves one, and you probably guessed it by now. By the way, Symbolic came out in 1995, but in 1991, you saw progressions of where Death was going on the Spiritual Healing album. You could hear the elements of more progressive. The song, the topics changed, you know, from guts and gore to more personal issues and things that were going on in the world. And that sound, and I think this, my number 1, is where it all kind of just came together. My number 1, the legendary album. I think it's legendary for sure. Human, not a weak track on here. This one features 2 guys from the band Cynic, Paul Mastoval and Sean Reinhart. Rest in peace, Sean. Fantastic drummer. Paul, great guitar player. And the wicked bass playing of Steve DiGiorgio is on here. And you know Steve from Sadis, Testament, to name a couple of bands that he's been in. Anyways, just check this out. Flattening of Emotion, Suicide Machine, Secret Face, one of my absolute favorite songs. Lack of Comprehension, Cosmic Sea. And there is a bonus track on here of a cover of Kiss's God of Thunder. I am a Kiss fan from way back. Destroyer's one of my favorite albums. Anyways, check out the guitar tone on that. It is bone crunching. That's the best word I can come up with. It is. I crank it. If my wife is not home, the walls are shaking. I guarantee you that. Yeah, my number one right there, Death, Human. You know, not a large discography, but 7 killer albums. Let me know in the comments, you know, what's your favorites, what's your favorite 7, name your top 3. What was your entry point into, when did you discover Death? Did you discover them, you know, a few years back like I did, or were you a fan the whole way through? I'll just tell you, I'm glad I checked them out. Not what I thought it was all about, you know, and it goes to show you, don't shut the door on something until you've tried it. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that ranking of the 7 studio albums from Death. And until next time, stay heavy.